Hello, friends, and welcome to the show. So, from President Biden, the rule is now simple: get vaccinated or wear a mask until you do. The choice is yours. And I have something to say to the president because obviously he missed this in a civics course. The people tell the government what to do, not the other way around. But before we get started, how about you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below. It helps with the algorithm. And this morning, I feel like he needed to softball this one in a little more because there was a lot of criticism, a lot of Biden voters essentially saying the government has no right to tell me what I can and cannot do. So now he went with this.
It's vaxxed or masked.
And apparently he can only say 4 words on video without stumbling over himself. They didn't even do a pretty edit at the end. It was just a fade to black. Jumping over to Matt Vespa, the Follow the Science crew is taking the CDC's new mask guidelines for vaccinated people well.
It is an amazing thing. I mean, I will just tell you at a personal level, I'm sorry for speaking of all that in such personal terms with Dr. Walensky, but when I was talking to people today about this new guidance and what to ask her, everybody had very personal feelings about it, and I realized I did too in all these questions. Part of it is that I feel like I'm going to have to rewire myself so that when I see somebody out in the world who's not wearing a mask, I don't instantly think you are a threat or you are selfish or you are a COVID denier and you definitely haven't been vaccinated. I mean, we're going to have to
Talk about a brainwashed monkey. Let's keep going.
Rewire the way that we look at each other, because the CDC's guidance, which she just told me we are sure, is that if you're vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask except in very specific circumstances. And so that means as we change that as a country, we are going to look at each other differently and have to unwire our preconceptions about what a mask or a lack of a mask means. President Biden spoke to that a little bit today, asking for people to, President Biden actually and Dr. Fauci both spoke to that today, asking for people to essentially be patient, be compassionate, give people respect for whatever they decide on this front, because with this changing guidance, we're going to now have changing norms, and we got to give each other space to have feelings about that as we go through what's going to be a big change that's going to create a lot of visceral reaction in a lot of us just in our day-to-day lives.
I'm excited to see liberals screaming at other liberals who decide to follow the science. You're going to have some liberals say, I'm going to keep wearing a mask because that's the only way to be safe. They've been brainwashed and they've been beaten to death with the fear of death, essentially. They've been clubbed, they've been cudgeled. Basically saying, if you don't wear this mask, you're going to kill grandma. And now when the government says you no longer need to wear a mask if you're vaccinated, they're going to essentially say, for a year, you told me if I don't wear this, I am going to kill my grandmother. And I don't want to be responsible for that. So I'm going to continue to wear that mask. The government has basically implemented the biggest psyop operation in the past year on U.S. citizens. Dr. Fauci spearheaded that operation. Jumping over to the Daily Mail, Governor Cuomo says New York will ignore CDC guidance to ditch masks and keep its statewide mandate, claiming he will rely on the science but won't outline what it is. Well, you have the science saying you don't need to wear it, but yet Governor Cuomo has different science. How about we sit down and we show our hands right now? We show our hands and say, our science tells us we should do this. Cuomo says our science says we should do that. And basically come to some sort of compromise, because that's essentially what science is. If it's not repeatable, then it's not scientific. Federal health authorities Thursday said vaccinated people did not need masks. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky said Americans had longed for the moment. Biden celebrated a great day for America and praised extraordinary success. New York's governor on Thursday afternoon said his state was yet to decide. Cuomo said his team had received the new guidelines and was reviewing them. California's Governor Gavin Newsom said his state is not changing their rules. So, at the end of the day, it seemed like Republican governors like Kristi Noem, Ron DeSantis and Wheelchair here in Texas, Governor Wheelchair, they seem to be following the science. Hey, you're vaccinated, act like you're vaccinated. They were months ahead of the CDC. Yet when the CDC eventually catches up to these Republican governors, you still have Democrat governors like Newsom and Cuomo denying the science. Who's the party of science at this point? Because it's obviously not the Democrats. Guy Benson, out, follow the science. In, follow our feels about what the science should be. Although the CDC announced Thursday that fully vaccinated people can stop wearing masks indoors in most places, LA County officials said no changes will be immediately made to local mask wearing requirements. That's from CBS Los Angeles. I felt brainwashed. Americans hit the streets after CDC ditches mask guidance, but most are still too nervous to take them off. Americans have been given the all clear to strip off their masks after the CDC eased guidance for fully vaccinated people. In a pandemic milestone that President Joe Biden hailed as a great day, the CDC said on Thursday vaccinated Americans no longer need to wear masks outdoors, in crowds, and in most indoor settings. I'm going to stop right there. It's not a great day. It's a distraction. It's been this way for months. It's been this way at least since we hit 200 million fully vaccinated people or 200 million vaccines. It's been this way for a while. However, they still wanted to control the American people. But when you have rising inflation, when you have inflation going out of control, you have gas prices skyrocketing, you have a war afoot in Gaza. Essentially anything that could be going wrong is going wrong within the United States. You have to give concessions. You have to throw a scrap of meat to your people before they start eating you alive, because eventually Americans are not going to tolerate chaos and disorder. Joe Biden promised a return to normal. If normal is skyrocketing inflation, skyrocketing gas prices, war in the Middle East, then God damn it, he managed to get us back to normal within 3 months, 4 months. It's bananas. Despite it being a major step towards returning to pre-pandemic life, a handful of Democratic governors, including New York's Andrew Cuomo, said that they would ignore the CDC guidance until fully reviewing it. Some big businesses, including Starbucks and Home Depot, have already said they'll keep mask policies in place for now. So that makes sense. Those are private businesses. Private businesses say, well, we don't want to have to either A, trust that when a customer comes in and they say that they're vaccinated, we don't have to want to just take them on their word. And we also don't want to ask them to provide a vaccination card. So that makes sense. A private business basically dictating the flow of traffic into their business and willing to accept the consequences thereof. Well, that makes a lot of sense. The government has no right to do so. Others, like CVS, Walgreens, and Macy's, are now reviewing the requirements in light of the new guidance. DailyMail.com spoke to New Yorkers and those in LA in the hours after the CDC's abrupt turnaround, after more than a year of urging people to cover their faces to prevent the spread of COVID-19. While some Americans say they're excited to finally ditch the face coverings for good, others admit it may be time to get used to, or it may take time to get used to because it has become the norm. So, honestly, it's still strange for me, even in Texas, to see some people's face, especially when I haven't seen it in nearly a year. And think about the developmental issues that young children are developing from essentially not seeing people's faces for 14 months. From Glenn Greenwald, I'm sorry, I'm having a Joe Biden day today. Nancy Pelosi is contravening CDC guidelines by requiring vaccinated House members to keep wearing a mask, even after the CDC said it's no longer scientifically necessary. Follow the science was, for so many, about control. And Glenn is 100% correct on this one. Congress was amongst the first in the entire world to be vaccinated. Yet Nancy Pelosi forced the mask mandate, threatened people with fines. Same thing with the metal detector. She forced people to go through those metal detectors, forced people to pay fines, and when it inconvenienced her own side, well, it doesn't matter because it's about control. It's about power. That's all this is about. It's funny, the party of follow the science is No, I want to follow my science. I want to follow my feels. My feels are the science. To some, there are still 9 planets. Pluto is still a planet because they feel as if Pluto was given the shaft. So for me, maybe there's 9 planets. Maybe there's 8. Depending on the day, I'll say 9 or 8. And it's not because I deny the science. It's because I genuinely forget. But evil people like Nancy Pelosi, because it's the only way to describe it, she is doing this for power. She's not doing this for the benefit of her congresspeople. Congresspersons? I don't know what exact verbiage I should use for that. But for her congress people serving, she says it's not for their protection. It's you will do as I say because I made the rules. You will follow or you will pay. You will bend the knee or you will be kicked out of Congress. Essentially, I won't let you onto the floor. She is a dictator. She's not even a benevolent dictator. Cuomo, Newsom, dictators. They want to follow their science, not the science. So maybe we need to reorientate a little. ODA, observe, orient, direct, and act. I think that's what it is. UDA? ULOS? I don't know. But maybe we need to reorientate and figure out what we're going to do, because obviously the party of science is just the party of feels at this point. So that's going to be it for now, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Until next time, have a good one. Bye.